Hey guys, just me again. Working on the race car again. We're doing some suspension work. I did something a little bit while ago before the last big drags that I wasn't able to videotape. I was working hard. I didn't leave the shop till 1 in the morning. What I did was cut the rear mounts out that they had, ground it all down, and welded new ones in. What was happening with the other ones is my rear diff was actually walking back and forth back here, which does some pretty funny things when you're on the drag strip. I'm still not perfect. I got to put some spacers in here so that these U-bolts don't curl this up as much. I have brand new U-bolts in. I just got to get the spacers and put them in there. I'm not doing that right at the moment. But yeah, I figured I'd show that to you guys. Took the huge wide Firebird ones off the top and put just regular ones in there. So I did it on both sides. It was about 3 hours of grinding and cutting, and just to get the old ones with the slobbery welds off of it. So it took a long time. Like I said, I was here till 1 in the morning doing this from 5 at night. It took me 6 hours just to cut, weld, grind. It should have taken half of that, but I had some stuff to deal with. Doing all that stuff, so that's what we did back here. Like I said, I got to get spacers, put them in here so that this doesn't do that. We'll straighten that all out later, and for now it's holding, but that will be taken care of very shortly here. What we're doing today is attacking this front suspension. I remember a while ago in one of my old videos, I'm pretty sure it's the one where I put these shocks in, I was going to try and put some drag race front coil springs in here. That didn't happen because they were the wrong ones. They were meant for they were way too heavy for the car. So I basically might as well stuck with the factory ones. So I finally got the right springs, and something I didn't show you was this. Starting to get some rust. If you can see that, yeah, right there. See rust actually coming through the frame. This control arm looks like it's been drug. So we're going to replace those bad boys too with these springs. Same brand as last time, the Moroso Trick Drag Front Springs. Part number 47190-110. They are meant for about 160 to 170 pound front end. My bad. 1650 to 1700 pound front end. And if you look at the weigh scales that I was at the other day there, I put a picture on my page, Shattered Dreams Racing, on Facebook. You'll see I was right in that area. It was right there. So I'm going to take those out. Taking these ones out. I already did the other side already. You can see the height difference. And the biggest difference is you can see the coil diameter difference. These ones are way smaller than these. There's more of them, so there's more energy stored in there when you're sitting there. And so when you launch, it'll help push the front end up better. Hopefully equal better 60 foots. So that's what those front springs are meant to do. They're meant to help you lift that front end when you launch and get out of that 60 foot better. So, and then to replace those lower control arms, what I got is these bad boys. These were not cheap, but I have a theory. If you're going to replace it, you might as well upgrade it. So, we got some SPC tubular lower control arms. And these are nice because they have the spring pocket you can bolt into there. Or later on down the road, the bottom is tough enough, you can actually put coilovers in these. So if I decide to upgrade this car that far, we can do that. So those are pretty nice. There's the factory old junk. And the nice pretty new shiny stuff. I still got to put the shock in there, but looks way better. Hopefully it functions just as well as it looks. And yeah, so I got to tear this side all apart. And again, it's one of those things. Safety's a big thing. So what we do is we take the tie rod off, the nut here. We take the brake caliper off, up and back there. Set it off to the side. And then we brace underneath the control arm take the shock out, race under the control arm, and then take these two nuts off. And then you can put some pressure on them, hit those with a hammer, knock them free, and slowly, gently get this down out of your way. Rip the bolts out, put the new control arms in, and Bob's your uncle. Go the other way, put it all back together, and you end up with this as a finished product. So it's pretty awesome. I'm hoping it functions just as well as it looks, like I said. One problem you're going to have with, because these control arms are so much, or these springs, sorry, are so much longer, they are a little bit more of a pain to get in than the old ones are to get back out. So be aware of that. You got to start pressing them and then pushing them back into place from a lot lower point, so it's a little bit more of a pain if you're working on a 4-post hoist like this. So I've got the transmission jack, I've got a floor jack that I've been using, I've been all kinds of stuff just to get that control arm back up into place. Alright, so we're going to do that, and then if I have time we'll do some other stuff, and we'll see. So here's what I mean about these coils being so much longer. They're a little bit more of a pain. If I push that one all the way up, you can see it's got to go all the way up in there, and it's got to be clocked right for the tang here to sit right in there. So you got to take your time, lift slowly push that spring into place, or get yourself a spring compressor that goes on the inside of the springs. Would be a nice easy way to do it. I don't have one of those. I've never invested in one, and it's well, it looks pretty light through the camera here, but it's getting dark out. It's 20 to 9, so nobody's open for me to go get one. So I'll just do it the same way I did the other side, being slow, being careful, slowly get that spring into place. And so best thing for you to do, get the spring compressor. I'm not doing that, so wish me luck. Alright, here's something to consider when you're doing stuff like this. With the new control arm and the shock at full extension, I have, if you can see it, a considerable gap. There you can kind of see it. More than enough. I can put my thumb and wave it around in there. There's probably a good 1.5 inch gap in there. So this will do a couple of things. One, there you go, now that it's focused, it's a little better. If you're doing drag racing and you're getting these wheels even close to coming off the ground, it's going to start using those shocks as limiters. So that's never a good thing. It will pound the crap out of your shocks and destroy them in a hurry. So we got to come up with some kind of a limiter, because I'm getting to that point where this suspension is flexing quite a bit, and possibly when I do a couple more upgrades, these front tires might even think about coming off the ground. So with the shocks sitting like that, all we're going to do is destroy them. Just the shocks aren't meant for that. So there's a couple different ways we can do that. Some guys back here will put a limiter chain from the frame to the lower control arm. Limiter chain, limiter strap, something that stops it from going down. It's good, it's effective, I've seen it done before. Not a real big fan of doing it that way quite yet. I've seen another one that I kind of like. It's looks a little bit goofy, but it works. What it was is you take this bad boy out of here, the factory bump stop, and you drill a hole and weld a nut here, and then you can have a big long piece of bolt, and it's actually completely adjustable within less than 1/8 of an inch. So it's extremely adjustable, it's simple, it's very effective, it will work just fine. So that's what I'm going to do. So I gotta get the jack underneath here, lift this bad boy up, cut these old ones out, drill a hole, weld a nut on there, and then I got completely adjustable. I can adjust it right up so that what I really want is these shocks to have just a tiny bit of free play on the bottom side just before they bolt up, so that the suspension isn't quite hitting bottom, or the shock's not quite hitting bottom before the suspension is. Suspension bottoms out before the shock does. This is the best way to say that. So because by the time you get flex and everything else in there, you'll be right at the limit of both. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to do a little bit of jacking up. I could probably even do this with the wheels on, do it from the top because I got no restriction anywhere else. Make it nice and easy. So we're going to do that. I'll throw the wheels back on. We'll set it down. I'll be able to see how the car sits and all that kind of stuff before I do all that. And then we can adjust everything. All right, now I got the springs and everything in, and here's the problem I'm at. This front end is sitting even higher than it was with the old Z20 or Trans Am springs. It's sitting slightly higher in the front than it is in the back at the moment. And with my shocks all the way pulled down, they don't even come through the holes. And this is just sitting at ride height right now. So these control arms say they would drop the front end 3/4 of an inch just by themselves. So these springs are making this front end stay way too high. I'm gonna have to do tomorrow a little bit more playing and stuff. What I'm gonna do is end up taking these springs apart, springs back out. That'll be a fun job. And I'm gonna cut one coil off each side and set it all back down and see how it sits again. Like I said, it's a job for tomorrow. It's 9 o'clock already. I still gotta go home. It's 9:30 already. Go home, have a shower, eat something, all that kind of stuff. I haven't left the shop yet tonight, so be a job for tomorrow. I should have some time yet, so yeah, we'll try that tomorrow. Cut a coil and see what happens, and we'll go from there. All right, so I'll talk to you guys tomorrow, and we'll get some stuff figured out.